When my son Leo came out as transgender, he was in between semesters of college, and it was January. And so he went back to college, and then he started testosterone in May, near the end of his first year of college. Except for that, he spent that summer at college, um, taking summer classes. And essentially, once Leo started college, he never lived at home again. So every time he would come back to visit, he was a little bit different than he was the time before. His hair would be different. His facial features would be a little bit different. His voice was different. How he presented himself outwardly may have changed. Like he was figuring out what his gender expression was, like how he was going to dress, and all of that. So every time he would come home, it was like getting used to what my son was looking like and presenting himself to the world, all over again, which felt a little bit unsettling, because when we would talk on the phone, he to me would sound the same every time, and it just sounded like the same child that I always had. And then all of a sudden, he would come home and show up, and it was like, oh, like my brain would have to like adjust to what felt like a new person, even though Leo was the same person that he had always been, right? He just was, presenting himself a little bit differently, and his facial features were starting to chisel here in the cheeks and in the jaw a little bit different. His hair would be a little bit different. And so one thing I would have to constantly remind myself, during that first year especially, and on into the second year a little bit, was that this is the same child that I have always known and I have always loved. And even though he might be changing outwardly, and his voice is changing and his appearance is changing, nothing else about him is changing. Like, he still loves all the same things that he's always loved. He's still my same child that I raised and loved. And even in a crowd, I could have skimmed through and been like, yeah, that's my kid, right? So as parents, it can feel strange for us to think about our children starting their physical or medical transition, to think, my child's going to be taking hormones, or going to be having gender-affirming surgery, or going to be doing whatever the thing is. And one of the fears that we might have is, what if I don't recognize my child anymore? Like, what if I just don't recognize them anymore? Because, they could be different in ways that we just don't know. Because what it is a fear of the unknown, right? It comes down to a fear of the unknown. But here's the thing. Our kids are our kids. And no matter how they change, and no matter how they outwardly present themselves to the world, and this is true of our kids whether they are transgender or not, like, we always know who they are. We always will be able to look out into a sea of people and be like, that's my kid, right? We have that ability to identify with them, because our heart knows who they are, and our mama instincts know who they are. And so if your child is starting their transition, I just want to assure you that it feels scary. It feels scary at the start. Um, but it's not as scary as you think it is once you are in the throes of it. And I think sometimes our brain gets a little bit ahead of ourselves, and the thinking about it is actually scarier than um, the practical application of it. And that's true of a lot of things in life, right? And I'm a person who has anxiety, so I can tell you I have like a master's degree in worrying about things that never actually like pan out later. But this is one of those things where the thinking about it before is actually worse than um, how it ends up being after. So I just wanted to hop on here and just talk about that a little bit. I've had some messages from people who this is like something that they're thinking about right now and worried about. And hopefully it will reassure some of you if that's also something that you're thinking about and worrying about too. So I hope that you are having a good week, and if it's something you want to talk about more, feel free to drop some words in the comments, or you can always feel free to send me a direct message or an email. My information is up in my bio, and we'll talk again soon. Okay, bye.